And we are live here on the MBL Network YouTube channel. It is Highly Debatable, episode number 19. We appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. I'm OSU. I'm hanging out with my man, Sonny Weaver. Sonny, I found out today the meaning of a flash flood. We got hit with some storm today. It was like 15 minutes. I was at the grocery store. Easily, there was 7 inches of water when I walked outside, and I got to my neighborhood. We had 2 trees down and our fences knocked down, all from 15 minutes of destruction.
That's actually funny you say that, because I got hit with something very similar today.
It was weird.
I was driving down the freeway heading to get some food, and all of a sudden I could feel my car lifting off the ground from so much water in so quick of time.
It was bizarre. I've never been hit by storms like that. It's freaky time here. It's springtime. This is what we get. If it was about 3 weeks ago, it would have been snow here in Detroit. We appreciate all of you tuning in. Again, a reminder, folks, if you want to help decide the winner of this episode of Highly Debatable, be sure to post in the chat hashtag OSU wins or hashtag Sonny wins. Or if you're watching in our YouTube archives, post who you thought won in the comments. We count all those votes so you can help determine who won this episode of Highly Debatable. Speaking of winners, I was going to say, speaking of winners, I'm a winner because I won the last episode. But at the same time, I don't want to lie to the people. I just won the last episode. Hey, the interesting thing here, Sonny, is because that tie in week 4, there's no chance we can end in a tie here unless we get another tie.
We tie again?
Yeah, so
there you go.
I assume the people in the chat who are just anarchists and want to see that happen will be doing that.
Play for the tie.
We've gotten some rave reviews, Sonny, about this the new version of the Highly Debatable Stock Exchange game. A lot of people loving the new format. I got to give credit to you. You came up with this idea, and we fleshed it out, and now we get our first opportunity to really play around with it. Let's get to the I feel like we need an HD Stock Exchange like theme. We'll come up with one. I feel like that'd be cool.
Yeah, we'll have to work on that.
As a reminder, folks, here are the teams that have been taken, and we'll show you the rules page. Everybody got $50,000 to spend. Teams divided up accordingly. I have the Lions, the Saints, the Ravens, and the Cowboys. Sonny Weaver coming in with the Chargers, the Browns, the Rams, the Vikings, and the Bears. 2 of the AFC North teams in your corner. And let's show everybody the graphic that shows where everybody is listed pricing-wise. And I'm sure Sonny wants to see that too, because I have a feeling that Sonny might be doing some wheeling and dealing. Oh, here's what I will say. You took the Chicago Bears. They came out with a big win over the Detroit Lions this week. So that $5,000 value pick looking real nice there. Since I got the first pick, Sonny, I'm going to give you the opportunity to make the first move.
Yeah, that's the big one here. I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to sell. Let's see. I've got where's my stock in the Vikings? I'm going to sell my Vikings stock.
So that $5,000 Minnesota Vikings team.
Yep, I'm going to sell my Vikings stock. I'm going to sell my Rams stock. And I'm actually going to buy New York Giants stock.
Okay.
I really like the Giants in that NFC East. And I think that would be a very valuable move for me. I'm going to keep my Chicago Bears stock because I think that may be the greatest value in NBL Stock Exchange right now. So
you're all in. I mean, the New York Giants still undefeated, continuing to impress in that NFC East. How impressive has it been for the Giants and owner Lowfish to come in, take over team midseason last year, struggle down the stretch, and this year they are clicking on all cylinders.
Well, and that was the thing, right? So you saw those Giants. We put them in the contender slot. No one really knew what they were going to do. They had a nice close to the season, but ownership changeover. No one knew if they were real or not. And so here they are now. And, I think they've got a great chance to win that division. They can make some noise. So I love that pickup for me. And I think they could do some damage here. Now, well, let me go ahead and throw it to you.
Sure.
Do you want to make any changes?
Well, so I'm looking at my teams right now. I've got the Detroit Lions, who have had some injuries that has sort of derailed their top of the division, but they're still sitting there at 6-2. And when Aaron Rodgers get back, I'm not concerned about the Lions. Got the New Orleans Saints at $12,500, and they are sitting there at 5-2, ahead of what I might say, Sonny, is the most disappointing division right now We know the NFC West. We'll talk about the NFC West when we come up. But the South, the Saints are at 5-2. The Buccaneers at 2-4 are the next closest team. The Falcons are at 2-5. I've also got the Baltimore Ravens at 7,500. You talk about your value pick. The Ravens are 7-1 right now and rolling. And then I've got the Dallas Cowboys, who are at 4-3 and second place in the NFC East. Sonny, much like I did last season, I'm going to stand pat for the moment. The only team I thought about looking at selling was the Dallas Cowboys. But just the way the NFC is fleshing out right now, playoff-wise, the Cowboys are in the playoffs. The next closest team is the Vikings at 3-3, and then you've got the Buccaneers and a bunch of teams at 2 wins. I just don't know, really, if there's another team that I would like to take in the NFC, and then on the AFC side, it's so competitive. I'm just going to stand pat because I like these teams I'm looking at.
Yeah, so I'm going to do one more change here, a little I don't know, massaging of my own ego, but I'm going to sell the Cleveland Browns, the not top 5 Cleveland Browns.
Browns sitting there right now at 5-3. They had a rough game this week.
Well, and so here's my issue. Pittsburgh's at 8-0, Baltimore's at 7-1. I'm the AFC wild card is going to be a tight race down the stretch. I'm not sure the Browns even get in, and so I'm going to play the field here, and I'm going to go with my very own Tennessee Titans.
Sure, Titans sitting there. They're in that contenders, the 12,500 Titans. Right now, sitting there at 6-1. Biggest competitor the last couple seasons has been the Jacksonville Jaguars, Sonny, but the Indianapolis Colts are sitting there at 5-3. I don't see any worry on your face, though.
No, I'm feeling good. I think, with the new scoring system, it's important to watch that because there's some value here. And so people saying, still kind of chalk, not any crazy stuff. Wait till we get down the stretch, because I think when we get down the stretch and we start looking at the points and who could sneak in as a wild card, maybe out of the rest group down there at 5K, I think we're going to start seeing some interesting maneuvering down there. And that's where things will get interesting.
Yeah, because the added change this year, if you look at the scoring system at the top, folks, is you get 2 points for being a division champion. So having a division champion in your portfolio is important because that's an extra point. You get those playoff win and playoff bye points, and then being a wild card team that you won. So very interesting. So just for people paying attention to the side on the left, the OSU side is going to stand pat. Sonny will now have the Los Angeles Chargers, the Los Angeles Rams. Is that correct, or were the Rams one of the two that you sold?
No,
you sold the Rams. And the Vikings.
My team now is Chargers, Titans, Bears, and Giants.
Okay, very interesting. So again, follow along with the HG Stock Exchange. Let us know what you think of our picks as we go throughout the season. We'll have a couple more episodes before we hit playoff time. But it's time to get to the debate part of Highly Debatable. Let's get to round one. And in round one, let's talk about those Washington Redskins. Sonny Weaver, this Redskins team, no bueno, I guess would be the word. That would be the best word because this Redskins team is winless still. We saw them on NBL Live. Look at Sterling Shepard make the defense look silly. This team was a team I think both of us thought was going to be successful coming into the year. Especially with ownership change in New York, Sonny. This was a team that a lot of people was a very sexy pick to maybe win that NFC East. Are they destined to go number 1 overall? A lot of teams out there are not very good, let's be honest. But the Redskins seem to be, the highlight.
Yeah, they are struggling bad this year, And here's the thing, right? It's easy to look at the Redskins, look at their 28 combined interceptions they've thrown this year. But let's talk about the defense. Sure. They're 31st in points allowed, 30th in rushing yards allowed. They're allowing over 100 yards a game on the ground. It is a struggle in Washington right now. And here's what's going to be interesting. Who gets more wins? The Washington Redskins or the Philadelphia Eagles? Because I think that's going to be your fight right there for number 1 overall. And it's going to be a race to watch down the stretch.
Yeah, I don't think, as of right now, I know the Redskins are playing poorly. Right now, I would not send them destined for number 1 overall because we have a couple other winless teams right now. We've got the Philadelphia Eagles, of course, as we talked about, are at 0-6. We've got the San Francisco 49ers are 0-7. And as I go on the AFC side, I notice nobody's winless, but it's all on the NFC side. So 3 winless teams still in the NFC. The answer is, Sonny, I think it's very obvious. It's going to come down to those 2 matchups between the Redskins and the Eagles because how bad the NFC West is. I think the 49ers steer into a couple wins at least, even how badly they're playing. I still think that they have enough talent and there's enough ineptitude out in the NFC West for them to find a way to win. So it's going to come down to those matchups between the Redskins and the Eagles. And honestly, and no offense to either owner, but I trust the Redskins a little more based on past performance, and that's it. There's nothing this season that tells me, oh yeah. I guess my biggest concern is the Eagles have a better defense than the Redskins. I just don't think defense has anything to do with how this game turns out. I think it has to turn out with who throws less interceptions directly to the other team. It's going to come down to those two battles they still have coming up.
You know what? If they go into those battles 0 for
Over?
just in total, that has to be an NBL Live game. The battle for one win. Who will be number one overall?
They play week 10, so 2 weeks they play, and then they play week 12, so 2 and 3 weeks. That's going to be the decider. I mean, Sonny, is the Redskins, out of the Redskins, the Eagles, and the 49ers, are the Redskins the worst team out of them?
You know, I've actually played 2 of them. I've played the Eagles. I've played the Redskins. Similar scores between the 2 of them. I think the Redskins have some issues they have to work out as far as run defense. That is going to be the big one. If the Eagles can run on the Redskins, I don't think they have a chance. But I do think the Redskins are going to be able to throw on the Eagles. So if I had to handicap it right now and pick one, I'm probably taking the Redskins over the Eagles.
I think I would take the Redskins over the Eagles as well. For one reason, that's Nat Minor in Philadelphia. Is a real nice running back, and he's averaging 5.6 yards per carry. If I'm the Eagles, Sonny, I'm going into the 2 matchups against the Washington Redskins and planning to run the ball 30 times. I mean, that's my only plan, is let Nat Minor run against this very bad Redskins rushing defense and allow Zach Belisari to throw you as many turnovers as he can and not put your quarterbacks, who have a real propensity to turn the ball over. I mean, is there any other plan other than, hey, let's just run Nat Minor and see how that goes? Can't go worse. You're winless.
No, I'd ride that till the wheels fell off.
All right, well, I think we're both in agreement, though. It's a little sorry out in that NFC. It's a great story with the New York Giants, but the bottom of that division is tough to watch. Let's get to round 2. I love this graphic so much. I didn't see it until I put it up there. It makes me laugh. Oh, the NFC West. Boy, oh boy. It's a very sour taste in our mouth here today, because that NFC West is not very good. The Seattle Seahawks at the top of that division, sitting there at 4-3, followed by the Cardinals at 2-5, the Rams at 1-5, and the San Francisco 49ers. What to take out of this division, Sonny? The question is, who's going to come out on top? And for me, it's obviously the Seattle Seahawks. Under new ownership, I still think the Seahawks are a very mediocre team in a sea of very bad teams. The Cardinals have shown some promise at times. They are at 2-5. The Rams, I was buying in on A.J. Baggs, and sophomore season for Baggs is not good. No bueno. Put the bags over your head in L.A., and then we talked about the 49ers sitting there at 0-7. The Seahawks, I think, are clearly the best team in the division. But I guess let's make this question a little more interesting. The question I'll pose to you is, what record do you think the Seahawks win this division with? And I still, even though they're 4-3, I still think they're a 10-win team with this division.
That may be a more interesting question. So let's look at this schedule here. They've got the Saints, the Cardinals, the Chargers. Honestly, they've got some tough games left down the stretch here. I think, it's realistic. They lose 3 or 4 more games. I think 9-7 to me seems like the best bet down the stretch here.
Chiefs, Raiders, Cardinals twice, Chargers, Falcons. Man, this still, even though they're sitting there at 4-3, this actually, I said 10-6. I'm looking at the schedule now. They might be under 500 in winning this division, because they're sitting there at 4-3 right now. I'm putting down the Saints as a loss, the Chargers as a loss, the Falcons I still think is a loss, even though the Falcons aren't playing very well. And then Raiders and Chiefs, that's 5 losses. That puts them at 7. And it's a toss-up on the Cardinals games. I don't know. The answer is I don't know the Seahawks owner very well, so a lot will depend. I mean, we thought that the Giants were going to be bad, and Lil Fish has proved that wrong so far. A little bit of a soft schedule early. He'll get tested. So a lot of it will depend on that. If the Seahawks owner, MPM, can win some games, they could be 9-10 wins. But, yeah, that's for that team, that's a tough down-the-stretch schedule.
Well, and here's the other thing you have to look at, though. So the Cardinals, their schedule's still pretty tough, too, and they're the only ones I think that realistically have a chance of catching them. They do get a 49ers team next week, and that should be a winnable game. And then there's 2 Seahawks games. If the Cardinals can sweep them along with that win in San Francisco, I think they have a chance to maybe win this game. I'm not sure, though. OSU, let's flip the question. 8.5 wins for the winner of this division? Buy or sell, over, under? Which way are you going?
The way they are, I go under. I think it's under. I just looking at this.
I'm going to go over. I'm going to say
Okay.
9 wins.
All right.
9 wins, I think, that wins this division.
Mark it down. Let's see what happens. Should be interesting down to the end of the season. Also should be interesting going into round 3. And let's talk about a team that, well, their owner has no shame in talking about. Loves talking about his own team, the Denver Broncos, sitting there at 5-2. Second place right now in the AFC West. They were in the lead for a while, and the Chargers have put together some wins. They're currently ahead by a half a game. Sonny, my question for you is, are you buying these Denver Broncos as, let's say, a playoff team? Or at least in that playoff hunt? Because the AFC is going to be a real dogfight down to the end. How much are you buying these Denver Broncos?
I'm not buying these Denver Broncos. When you look out at this team, they've got exactly, double check this math here, 1 win over a team with a winning record. I'm not giving them the Seahawks because that was Kyle, not new guy. So we'll see how that goes. But they just haven't beaten anybody. And when you start looking ahead, they've got 2 matchups with the Raiders, 2 matchups with the Chargers, a matchup with the Titans. They've got some very tough games down the stretch. Now,
you're saying you're not giving them the win over the Seahawks?
I
mean, that's the only one they have over the above 500 team. And it was by 3.
Yeah, I mean, no, they got the Chiefs. I'm giving them the Chiefs.
Oh, they do. Carry on.
But
I can't read.
You know, you look at this, and the schedule's weak. He's got 3 easy games coming up. Dolphins, Bengals, Cardinals, arguably. I think the Dolphins can beat them, to be frank. And then down the stretch, a very tough road there of Kansas City, Oakland, Oakland. I was going to say Las Vegas. Oakland.
They're not Vegas yet.
Not yet. Chargers, Titans, Chargers again. I think they could lose every one of those matches. Again, let's make this interesting. Would you say the Denver Broncos end up with over under 8.5 wins?
Boy, that's a tough call. Let me pull up the schedule. Again, apologies if anybody's talking in chat. I don't have Chrome open because if I have Chrome open, my computer will burn down with Skype running.
Hey, I see them in chat. They're loving us.
Awesome. So to get over 8 wins, to get to 9, that would mean the Denver Broncos would have to win 4 of their final games. I like them to beat the Dolphins. I like them to beat the Bengals. I like them to beat the Cardinals. Those are the 3 wins I think they have.
Do you think he wins all 3 of those?
Yes.
And the reason I say that is he just lost to a 3-5 Texans team.
Yep.
I would say the Cardinals and the Dolphins are pretty comparable to that Texans team.
I think if 8.5, I will go over. I think they're a 9-win team. I think they will win. Mostly because I think they might be able to. You know what? I think they might be just under. I don't know if they win all 3 of those games. I definitely don't think. My only question is that Week 17 game against the Chargers. That's what I'm going back and forth on, because the Chargers have been known in Week 17, as somebody who's beaten them in Week 17, to go into the playoffs pretty comfortably and take it easy in Week 17, try not to get anyone injured. It's a tight call. 8.5 is a good number. Boy, if it was in Vegas, that'd be fun. I'm going to take the Broncos. I'm going to put a little faith in Brawler. I'm going to say over. I think they sneak out. I think it's probably a 9-win team. But it's going to be tight. It's going to be real tight. What about you?
I'm taking the under. I'm going 8 wins. He finishes 8-8. I think he loses to the Cardinals.
Okay.
And then he proceeds to lose basically every other game until, like you said, I think he may steal one Week 17, giving him 3 more wins and putting him right at that 8-8 mark.
Here's the one part that I'm going back and forth on, okay? If you look at their numbers, if you look at that schedule, the Broncos wins, they pretty much have only scored under 20. They're not a high-powered offensive team. They're only averaging 23 points per game. They're only giving up 21 a game, which is 9th in the NBL. But they're 27th in yards, 23rd in passing yards, 22nd in rushing yards, and that's what scares me.
Look at those numbers.
Yeah, that scares me.
I don't think there's
that tells it tells me that they're forcing a lot of turnovers. They're letting people get down the field and relying on some defensive turnovers. And the teams that they have coming up, That's the reason why I think they win those 3 games I mentioned, because those teams turn the ball over a lot. It's a matter of if they can pull out one more. I'm not sure. We'll have to watch it. I'm going to put faith in Brawler because I think Brawler thinks I'm mean to him. I'll put faith in him because I don't want him to cry. I love you, Brawler. You're the man. And also, I don't trust myself to win. So, let's go with that. Let's get to shout-outs. It is shout-out time here on Highly Debatable. Again, folks, we are past round 3, so in the chat, vote hashtag OSU wins, hashtag Sunny wins to determine who wins this episode of Highly Debatable. If you're watching on our YouTube archive, go ahead and post that in the comments. We read those as well. Sonny, I'm going to give you first crack. Who's your shout-out today? Are you going a little happy? Are you going a little negative? What you doing?
Oh, you know what? And I hate to do this. But I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to our Indianapolis Colts owner, Tout.
Oh, Toutsky.
Me and Tout often are, I beat up on him like a little brother. But you know what? Tout went ahead. He beat the Tennessee Titans. He beat the Dallas Cowboys. And he's sitting in a position to possibly make the playoffs as a wild card team. He's surpassed Unisolated this season, who likes to put Tout in his place. So you know what? Shout out to the Tout out. Good job, little buddy. Let's see if you collapse down the stretch.
I am going to give a shout out to a guy we haven't talked about a whole lot. And first, I'm going to give a pre-shout out because I want to put the issue to bed once and for all, but I want to mention it on our YouTube channel, on a show that people watch on our YouTube channel. I first want to give a shout out and a tip of the cap to Mr. Rex Dixon. Good luck with his new position, his new stuff in life. I know Rex is one of those guys who gets a lot of flack on Twitter, but Rex really has done a ton for the CFM community and has been a big friend of the NBL Network. So tip of the cap to Rex Dixon. But I am going to use my shout out. I want to give a shout out to old Burrito Bob for the big win over the Detroit Lions, the Chicago Bears. This is a team that gets sort of lost in the shuffle because the NFC North has been filled with such high-powered teams. The Vikings, Super Bowl champions. The Detroit Lions, of course, Super Bowl champions. And we talk about the Packers a lot as one of those up-and-coming teams. Not so much this year, but in teams past, we talked about how much we like the Packers. But a big shout-out to Bob and the Chicago Bears for coming out with a win against a short-handed Detroit Lions team, but a win nonetheless. There's still a lot of talent on that team, no matter who's at quarterback. That wide receiver core is tough to stick with. It's a marquee win. It's a win you can put on your lapel. So shout out to the Bears and shout out to our good friend and one of our admins, old Burrito Bobski. Tip of the cap to you. And that will do it for our episode of Highly Debatable. A reminder, we've got NBL Live coming up. We will probably be going live closer to 9:15 after we get everything set up. But we will have NBL Live coming up. Buccaneers, Tampa Bay. This is a team I'm interested in watching, Sonny, because they have I would say the most young talent of any team in the NBL.
They are stacked. You know, we've talked about doing the 5-season simulation. If we had to bet on who would be the top team during those 5 simulated seasons, I think they've definitely got a chance to be the best.
They're taking on the Los Angeles Rams tonight, and AJ Baggs looking to get a turnaround. That's going to be coming up probably about 9:15 Eastern time right here on YouTube, but mostly over on Twitch, twitch.tv/NBL Network. Join us over there. That's the chat we'll be watching. We appreciate you tuning in to Highly Debatable episode number 19. For my co-host, Sonny Weaver, I'm OSU. We'll see you in just a few minutes on NBL Live.